of all of the residents of a household. And I always like to emphasize that because sometimes there is a little bit of confusion about that, but it's the federal adjusted gross income of all of the residents that reside or that live in that property. When they are below certain amounts as dictated to us by the legislation, you can qualify for up to a 50% reduction in your property tax bill as a result of that. So a very important one as well. There was a new exemption that came into law and into being in tax year 2023. I indicated on this slide that to be eligible for it, you had to be 65, again, as of January 1. And this particular legislation says that you have to have been granted a homestead exemption in Fulton County for the past 5 years at the time of making the application. For those of you who may have applied for an age 65 exemption in 2023, or you already had an age 65 exemption in 2023, this particular exemption was applied to your property, really regardless of whether you applied or did not apply, if you already had that age 65 exemption. And I simply say that to indicate that when you apply for this exemption in 2024, it is a $10,000 exemption off of the school portion, the Fulton school portion of your tax bill. So it is additional dollars that at the end of the day bring a savings to you if you meet that qualification. When it comes to actually filing for a homestead exemption, we try to make it as easy as possible. You can file online through our online portal at fultonassessor.org. You look under the exemptions tab, you will find the homestead exemption webpage, and you can go on there, follow the instructions, and file your application online. In addition to that, you can also upload documents that are applicable to the exemption that you're applying for. And then you can also correspond with our homestead staff, excuse me, regarding the status of your homestead exemption application. Sometimes, for instance, you may have applied, you may have provided some documentation, maybe not all, maybe the incorrect documentation. Staff will simply notify you through the SmartFile application of what documentation you need to supply us. You can resubmit that again all through the online portal, and we can process your application that way. It's probably the most straightforward way of not only applying, but also for us on the backside of processing these. Greatly simplifies the process. But you can also apply manually. Oftentimes, our experience is that seniors many times like to actually visit the office and bring their documentation with them, and we certainly welcome that. We have 2 locations in the north in Alpharetta on Maxwell Road, and then the North Fulton Service Center, which is on Roswell Road in Sandy Springs. We have 2 locations in the South Fulton Service Center on Stonewall Tail Road in the city of South Fulton. And then we have an office as well at the Greenbrier Mall, which is inside the tax commissioner's office. We have a location inside there as well. And then 2 locations downtown, one at 141 Pryor Street at the Government Center, and then at 235 Peachtree Street at the Peachtree Center, where our administrative offices are located. You can visit any of those. Obviously, you probably want to visit the one that's closest to you, but you can come in, bring your information, and our staff will be glad to serve you there. I will say that whenever you're doing the manual applications in our office, you simply supply the documentation that you have. Staff takes your information and enters that into the system, and then they provide you a receipt out of our system that identifies all the pertinent details that you have provided for your homestead exemption. And so you not only have evidence of the fact that you applied, but also you can review whatever information was taken in and ensure that it is correct. And if there are any problems, we can correct that on the spot, so to speak. In terms of what you need or what documentation you need to provide, again, when it comes to a basic homestead exemption, the only things we're looking for is, did you own it and did you occupy it on January the 1st of that given year? So we're interested in a valid Georgia driver's license. If you don't have that, then a valid Georgia identification card. You can provide your social security number. Or really, the other important documents outside of a valid Georgia driver's license or a valid Georgia identification card is the registration for the vehicles owned by and registered by the property owners and their spouses. Again, all of this documentation is simply used to verify this is your place of residence. This is where you dwell, okay? When it comes to properties that are in the name of a trust, you can still qualify for a homestead exemption. We simply need to see the trust affidavit, and in some cases, the trust documents, if there's any question as to whether or not the person that is residing in the property is actually an owner. So again, that's what those documents are providing for us. When it comes to special exemptions, those senior exemptions or income-based exemptions, we require the state and federal tax returns. Again, these exemptions are driven by the legislation that's behind them. Some exemptions require your federal gross income. Some exemptions require your Georgia gross income. That's what we talk about providing both returns. If you don't file an income tax, you can simply provide your Social Security award letter. We can identify your yearly income based on that. If it's some kind of veterans disability exemption, there's a form that the Department of Veterans Affairs provides that shows not only that your disability is the result of a combat incident, it'll show the level of your disability or the level of compensation that you're receiving for that disability. So in some cases, you may have someone that's, I say, only 80% disabled as opposed to 100. But if they're receiving 100% compensation for that disability, then they would still qualify, even though they're not at 100%. Also, for anyone that has a medical disability, there are affidavits that are required from your physician that simply show that you're either 100% unemployable or cannot be gainfully employed. We actually have those documents on our website at fultonassessor.org, and you can download those, take them to your doctor, your physician. They can simply sign them, you return them to us, and we can utilize that. I do emphasize that if you are applying for a homestead exemption, your name does have to be on the deed, okay? You do have to be an owner, and again, you do have to occupy in order to qualify. And if you have any questions about any of this, we do have an online guide at our fultonassessor.org website on that homestead page that I mentioned that goes into a lot more detail than even what I'm discussing here. Or you can contact any of our offices, talk to our staff. They'll be glad to walk you through that process. One other thought to keep in mind is that when you go online through our portal to apply, oftentimes people don't know or may not even have any idea what exemptions they all may, that they may qualify for. And the way the online portal is designed, it's going to ask you different questions to make sure that the exemption that you are approved for is the best exemption that you qualify for, the one that will benefit you the most. So even if you don't understand all of the particular laws behind all of this, the online portal is designed to guide you down the right path. And again, if you come to our office, our staff is glad to have any kind of discussion that you need so that you feel comfortable that what you're getting is what you qualify for. and is benefiting you the most. Again, as far as applying online, it's fultonassessors.org. Look at our exemptions tab on the right. You can contact our office at 404-612-6440, extension 4. Florence Brooks is our homestead manager and has been for many years. You can contact her or any of our other staff. They're glad to help you. And then there I am again. I'm the Deputy Chief Appraiser. You can feel free to reach out to me through email or via the phone, and be glad to take your calls, answer any questions. You may have questions today, and I'll do my best to answer those for you as well. But that's all I have today.
All right, thank you so much for sharing that information with us about homestead exemptions. I hope everyone was paying attention and taking copious notes. Uh, again, the deadline is April 1st to file for your homestead exemptions. The basic homestead exemption, there are additional homestead exemptions based on your age. I think there's one at what, 60 and then 60,
It's age 62, age
62.
65, age 70. Just keep in mind, if it's age 62 or age 70, there are income requirements to go along with that. But at age 65, it's a basic senior exemption. So it's just the fact that you own it, you reside in it, and you're 65 as of January 1st.
All right. And then obviously the additional exemptions that we discussed were for disabled veterans and surviving spouses of veterans and police officers and firefighters. Again, there are 18 different taxing jurisdictions in Fulton County, including the county, the 15 cities, and the 2 school jurisdictions. So there may be additional exemptions that you may be eligible for, but you may have to contact your individual city or school jurisdiction to apply for those. So um, thank you again. And we will have another town hall, homestead exemption town hall tomorrow. I know we've mentioned it once or twice already, but tomorrow at 6 p.m. we'll be on Old National Highway at the City of South Fulton Economic Development Office. On March 14th at 11 a.m., we'll be in the city of Fairburn at the New Beginning Senior Center to talk about homestead exemptions. And then March 18th, we'll be at Welcome All Park to talk about additional homestead exemptions. And I saw Dorsha raise her hand. Maybe I got something wrong.
No, we have 2 questions from the audience.
Okay, yes. Let's go to those, and then I have 1 or 2 questions myself.
Okay, from an anonymous attendee, how do you get an exemption for having chickens and or bees?
I think they must mean livestock. I got chicken and bees in my house, but I don't think that counts.
No.
Yeah, yeah, the commissioner is correct on that. There is a what is known as the conservation use program. It's outside of the realm of homestead exemptions, but it is a 10-year covenant that's available for properties that have a primary use of agriculture. That application can also be found online at fultonassessor.org. And we have staff that's available that are experts in that field that can give further information along those lines as well.
Say the name of that again, please.
Yes, it's called a
Conservation.
conservation use application. It's really
Okay.
current use valuation. You know, it has a long acronym, but if you say conservation use application, they'll know what you're talking about.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, and the second question is, so once you've submitted the homestead exemption, it's only one time, correct? What if I think it's not being applied correctly? Who do I contact?
Yeah, once a person files for a homestead exemption and they're qualified, the homestead exemption remains until that person either sells the property or something of that nature. The only caveat to that is when we were talking about age 62, 65, and 70, the way things currently operate, once you reach those age marks, you do need to come in and file for that additional exemption. If you have any question as to whether or not your exemption is being applied correctly, contact our office. You can contact Florence. You can contact myself, and we'll be glad to review that for you and help you have whatever comfort level you need to ensure that the exemption is being applied as mandated by law.
Can you put your contact information and email in the chat for
Yes, sir.
everyone, and maybe Florence's as well, just in case someone wasn't around and missed that
Yes, sir.
slide where you had where you shared the information.
Okay.
I sent Florence's email to that particular person.
Okay, good.
Yeah, well, I will. We Let's share it with everyone in the chat so that everyone has access to it. Because someone else may be shy, they may have a question and don't want to ask it, or at least not in front of everyone.
Yeah, it
All
went.
right, all right, and so I think that's the two questions that we had. Um, and I know this next question actually may be a little bit out of your realm, um, but people have been trying to pay their property taxes, and I know they pay the property taxes to the tax commissioner, but because of the IT issues that we've been facing, um, what can you share, if anything, about the IT issues and the ability for people to pay taxes? Because I know the website was down, people couldn't pay online, they would have had to come into one of the offices to pay.
Yeah, as you stated, the cybersecurity issue did hinder probably the tax commissioner's office as far as our tax structure. They were probably the greatest impacted in regards to that. We did have a meeting earlier today, and again, I'm not with the tax commissioner's office, but I was involved in a meeting today, and my understanding is that the tax commissioner is able to receive payments once again through a credit card and that type of thing. I think previously he could only do it through cash or a check or something of that nature. I don't know that they are 100% fully restored, but the statement that was made earlier today was that they were about 99% restored. Obviously, the best person to contact about that is the tax commissioner's office. But I did want to put it out there that the information we received today from Dr. Ferdinand himself was that that functionality has been restored. They can actually make those payments.
Awesome, thank you. And I knew that was a different office, but glad to know that you guys are staying in communication
Yeah.
for the benefit of the residents, and glad that you were able to provide that update for us. Um, Looks like we might have one more question. Oh, okay. Comment from Jessica Corbett. Thank you. That is breaking news. As of this afternoon, and online payments are now working. Thank you, Jessica.
Yes, thank you.
Um, so look, guys, District 5, home exemption tax hall, you get the breaking news. You find out right here live that Fulton County is accepting payments again from the tax commissioner's office for payment of property taxes. So I believe that that is all that we have. Dorsha, is anything else that I missed or anything else that we need to cover?
James, can you send that information again? When you sent it, it was to host and panelists and not to everyone.
I got you. Okay.
It's like a little drop
I
down.
see it. Yep.
I was trying to copy it, but it won't let me copy and paste. So.
Good.
All right. Well,
Yes, just acknowledge, Councilwoman, Catherine Rowell.
yes, Councilwoman Rowell, thank you for joining us. So glad to have you. And hopefully this information will be useful to the residents in your district and the citizens of South Fulton. And again, thank you for attending. And obviously, as you already know, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and give me a call. And we will do whatever we can to assist. So thank you again to everyone. Thank you to Rico, James, Dorsha, Dory, Jarrell, Mitza, and Jessica got in on the action too. Thank you, everyone. It really takes teamwork to get it done. Teamwork makes the dream work, and so we have a great team in Fulton County, all working on behalf of the residents of Fulton County. So thank you again, and if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me and or my office. Phone number is 404-613-0202. Again, 404-613-0202. Or feel free to send an email to marvin.arringtonFultonCountyGA.gov. And that should do it.
Councilwoman said thank you. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, we'll see you tomorrow for our next town hall. Spread the word. Old National Highway, City of South Fulton Economic Development Office, Fairburn on Thursday at 11 a.m. And then on March 18th, we'll be at Welcome All Park for our final home exemption tax haul. We try to move it around and take it to the people because we know everyone has busy schedules and everyone might not be able to make it to Fairburn or make it to City of South Fulton. So thank you all again. This will conclude our session. Hope everyone has a great evening.
Have a good one.
God bless and good night.
Thank you.